Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
If you were forced to give up an item, let's just say OV scores his, what's the record for goals? 871. Say, I think it is, Wayne's. Say he scores 872 and against the opposition, and let's say Shesterkin, let's say it's in New York, and he fires the puck into the crowd, the goalie for the Rangers, and you catch it. And then the Capitals come over to you and tap on the glass. Can we get that puck? It's Ovi's. It's the record-breaking goal. A, you don't want to give it to him, but B, you know you should. What would be an appropriate...
But C, that's $1 million puck in your hand.
They say the football's $500,000.
Okay.
That's what they're saying.
So the puck would be... This didn't break a record. The puck would be right there.
No, what would you want?
$500,000.
You scumbag!
That'd be the coolest thing to have the record-breaking puck. But you know what?
Oh, it's $894. Sorry. So if it's $895, you catch the puck for $895. Because what Tom said was, we'll get him a helmet, maybe a couple jerseys or something. I'm not quite like you.
Yeah.
Not a complete pimp like you. I would say, I want the helmet. I want the jerseys. I want season tickets. I want lunch with you at the Golden Corral tomorrow, Tom. And let me think about it a little longer, and then I'll get back to you.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show. Now,
here's a little secret with what I do at the Rod Pedersen Show, and I've made a career of it. I don't care whether you like me or you don't like me, but when you watch my show, I just want you to feel something.
how about that?
Whether you're happy or you're sad or you're angry or you're proud, I just want you to feel something. Because a lot of times you'll read a column or watch a show and it's, That's never been the hallmark of what I do. I want to make you think, I want to make you feel something, and it's worked. And if you don't agree with me, I'll be fine.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Yes, it is. And hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to the RP Show. It is now episode number 977 of your favorite sports talk show. And notice something different. We continue to broadcast live from the Grey Eagle Resort and Casino in Calgary. And yes, I'm on the stage bar. We have a live studio audience. Are you from Saskatchewan? Clearly. Hey, Jim. Nice to see you. One of the nicest guys around. Jim Vancha from Delisle has showed up here today. How about that, Clark? Can we get a how about that?
How about that?
And Rick Regan?
Hell yes. Hot damn.
Thanks for coming down, Jim. Appreciate you. And we got a few guys over here behind me, too. They want to talk sports today. And we've got Darren Moose Dupont joining us from Palm Springs, California. What's up, Moose? What's the Southern California weather report?
It's the same probably as it is every day. Sunny, clear skies, no clouds. Life is good, man. I know you get a taste of this. Not a taste of this. You live this in Florida year-round. But happy to see the Jim's there in person watching the show. So good morning, Jim, and love that start to the show.
No kidding. Live studio audience. Can't beat it. Okay. Tim Hunter coming up live, by the way. It's your lucky day. For those that have shown up to watch this live, Tim Hunter going to join us live here at Grey Eagle. We're not just going to talk about the Flames and do the last rites over them. We'll talk about the other teams for which Tim has played, like the Vancouver Canucks and the San Jose Sharks, and he's got a few in there. So a Colorado Avalanche, too. So Tim Hunter coming up, and he'll be with us for a full hour. And David William Naylor from TSN, the CFL insider from TSN, David William Naylor. Can you hit the quick six show horn?
How about that?
Yeah, well, we're going to start. I'm not going to run through all of the games last night because I think there were 11, but I will start here. And for those that hate the Flames, and there are many, you'll just enjoy the carnage here. The Flames have been officially eliminated from the NHL playoff picture. The Nashville Predators still have some hope. The Preds defeated the Flames 3-2 in a shootout Monday night. extinguishing the Flames' bid to catch the Jets for the final wild card berth. Troy Stetcher and Michael Backlund scored for Calgary, while Igor Afanaseyev and Zach Sanford had Nashville's goals. The Preds are 3 points back of the Jets and have 2 games left. The Jets can clinch with a win tonight. And it's funny because I was with my friend Tammy this morning, and I was telling her that I was talking to Brett Wilson last night, the owner of the Preds, and she was like, "You know him?" "Well, yeah. He's from North Battleford. Aren't we all the same? Saskia boys got to stick together." And I said, "Hey, congrats on the win, Brett, and keep it rolling." And he's like, "Well, we'll do what we can, but it's really all in the hands of the Winnipeg Jets." The Jets have been in the driver's seat for some time. And we talked about this yesterday. Kudos to them. They just never gave up the wheel. Right? They beat San Jose last night 6-2. The Leafs beat Florida 2-1 in overtime. And how can you, as the Leafs fan in the house, tell me what's the Leafs update on where they are right now getting ready for the playoffs?
Yeah, I think they're pretty happy. Has signed the prospect Matthew Nees out of the NCAA. They're fine tuning. They're making sure they're ready. They're getting healthy. I think there's a lot of good things happening there. And it doesn't matter. You're set to play Tampa, but even winning games like that in overtime builds a little confidence. You got to keep the group engaged. So I think all systems are pretty good right now.
A potential, well, it is a playoff preview tonight at Scotiabank Arena, Leafs and Lightning, but we'll get to that a little later on in hour 2. And speaking of Tim Hunter and Tim's teams that he was with the Leafs for a long time as an assistant coach. So we'll be breaking that down with Timbo a little later on. The LA Kings got a 20-save performance from Eunice Corpusalo to beat the visiting Vancouver Canucks 3-0 in Monday's late game. The Canucks will play in Anaheim tonight and then finish their season Thursday with a game against the Arizona Coyotes. We've got, believe it or not, Seattle Kraken fans watch this show. Jared McCann scored his 40th, and the Kraken reached the 100-point mark. I didn't see that coming. They beat the Arizona Coyotes 4-1 last night. The Kraken have now won 5 in a row. So I guess I'll roll this into the poll question today for Key Auto Group. Key Chevrolet Buick GMC is celebrating its Springtastic event with a 3.49% financing deal and up to 60 months for the 2023 Buick Envision. Conditions apply. Go to keychev.com for more details. Our poll question is this. I came up with it. What should the Calgary Flames do? Fire the coach, fire the GM, fire them both, or do nothing? And the last I looked, fire them both is leading the poll. You got 24 hours to vote on that. And Musa, I did say that I'm a Sutter guy, but it's very simple. It's right there in front of your face. When you have a talented team that woefully underachieves, the coach has to be fired. What's screwing things up here is that the general manager, Brad Treliving's contract's up, so that would be an easy one if you wanted to get rid of him. Daryl's got at least another year left on a contract that apparently the owner signed him to last summer. Speaking of sass guys, Brett Wilson went to university with Murray Edwards, the principal owner of the Flames, and here's the thing about owners. They're not always going to do the right thing, Darren. They don't live in reality. Murray made all his money not in the NHL. Brett Wilson made all his money not in the NHL. So, yeah, you're good at oil and gas and whatever it is you do, but can you leave the hockey stuff to the hockey people? But they don't.
Yeah.
So,
I know.
Honestly, I'm voting for fire Daryl. Sorry. The team underachieved. What else you going to... I went to bed going, I'm glad I don't have to make that decision. I darn sure glad I don't have to make excuses for it because I was listening to the broadcasters on the radio last night driving home, and I'm like, did they sound like they wanted to be anywhere else but on the radio explaining this? So what are you voting for?
It's a tough one. I think it's got to be one of Treliving or Sutter. Probably will be. I'm leaning towards it's probably going to be the coach. But again, it all depends on the contract negotiations with Brad Treliving. It would be easy to get rid of him and say, look, you had a roster. You couldn't re-sign your guys. You made moves to bring in other guys, and they were the wrong guys. You went all in with this roster. It didn't work. We saw the roster work with this coach before, so it didn't work. So contract's over. But at the same time, if they like Brad Treliving, if he's there long term, then I could see a situation where Darryl doesn't come back because he didn't get the most out of this group. And if you're all in on Kadri and Huberdeau and Toffoli and Weegar in this group, then you need to have a voice in that room that can speak to them. And this year it didn't work.
902-518-3033, the number to reach us here. We will move on to Junior in a sec. Wilf in Steinbach, Manitoba, watching on the Game Plus television network, writes in and he says, spring has arrived in Steinbach, plus 13 Celsius. The Jets found themselves one more point. Where were they, Wilf? Were they, as always, in the last place they looked? Kirk in Saskatoon writes in and says, what a game last night between the Blades and Pats. The series was everything you could have hoped for. Go Blades. So we'll move into that, other than to say, SJHL fans, get your tickets now for the SJHL raffle for your chance to win a brand new Polaris side-by-side. Tickets available now at sjhlraffle.ca and are on sale until April 23rd. Tickets are 1 for $25, 3 for $30, or 10 for $100. All proceeds go to support the SJHL and its member teams. Again, don't wait. Get your tickets today, sjhlraffle.ca. I feel like it's something that just we really care about, and I forget that it is national news. It's the second item on the Sports Wire today, and I'm reading it. Connor Bedard's dream season with the Regina Pats is over. I inserted the term career. His career is over with the Regina Pats. The Blades defeated the Pats 4-1 in Game 7 of their WHL first-round series on Monday night. Bedard, who compiled 71 goals and 72 assists in 57 games this year, is expected to be number 1 overall in this summer's NHL draft. In the playoffs, 20 points in 7 games. How about this? People whom I love, probably watching right now, are texting me about, is he going to go to the Worlds? Wouldn't it be something if he could be picked up and play with an NHL team for the rest of the season? I said, how be he goes to bed? I said, I hope he sleeps for a month. And as a matter of fact, I talked to the family this morning, and I won't say which one. I don't want to out anybody. But here's the text from a source, a Bedard source. Connor's absolutely exhausted. Long hockey season, 2 World Juniors, not a ton of training, so much pressure, so many distractions. He doesn't need anything else. Go home and sleep, Connor. That's what I want. You?
Yeah, and I think that's best. Not to say that I, know I'm the guy that knows what's best for Connor Bedard, but he could go to the World Championships, and that crossed my mind, a week or two ago. Will he go? Owen Power went.
Yeah, he wouldn't be the first.
I think he could. Yeah, I think Canada would be interested. I think they'll reach out. I think they want him. But these guys, I believe, go to the World Championships, the Austin Matthews or Owen Powers or whatever, to say, look, I can go play with the men, and I'm going to show that I can fit in, and I'm going to make you more comfortable about drafting me in the spot you're thinking about drafting me, top 10 or whatever. Connor Bedard doesn't need to convince anybody he should go first overall. There's nothing to prove. He's going to go first overall. So going to the World Championships isn't going to gain you anything but an opportunity to play for your country, which I'm sure you love to do. Rest, take advantage of it, Connor. You've earned it. So that's what I vote for with you.
And that's why people like Connor Bedard, not just because he's a teen, people of that personality type, they need advisors around them telling them to do the right thing, and I'll tell you why. Well, we got lots of time to look forward to the next round of the WHL playoffs. For now, we're talking about Connor Bedard. Somebody wrote in anonymously to our website on the weekend at rodpedersen.com and said this is kind of ironic that they could potentially beat the Blades in round 1 because Bedard, the reason he didn't want to be traded in his family was they didn't want more game. But he is a flipping thoroughbred racehorse. You don't slow him down. You know what I'm saying? He needs to be advised. Connor, go home. Because maybe if it was up to him, he would want to go to the World Hockey Championships. I'm not sure. You don't think about how tired and exhausted you are until it's over. And it's now over, right? And everything's going to be hitting him right now. And because he gave everything, obviously he gave everything that he had. And for anybody that thinks he's going to come back to junior next year, I have some oceanfront property in Arizona to sell you. And by the way, number one, I knew coming in here yesterday it was going to be a great day, Moose, because The Fireman by George Strait was blaring over the speakers here in Grey Eagle. Right?
How about that?
Yeah,
Hell yes.
this is going to be a great day. And it was. And then, but I went to the Flames game last night with my buddy Chad Glasser. He's probably watching right now on Game Plus television. He lives in Lethbridge. We're very big in Lethbridge. And he said, Rod, are you going to go to see George Strait in Hollywood, Florida? It's about 18 miles from my place. I said, I'm honestly kind of over George Strait in terms of paying for tickets to go. I've seen him live 3 times. I almost broke my back getting to San Antonio for what was supposed to be his last concert ever. My cousin Robin went, and then he's probably performed 200 times since or more. Don't pull my leg. George Strait or no. What if I had tried to get down there and then found out it wasn't his last concert? Man, I'd have been really pissed. So I'm kind of over George Strait. Sorry, don't at me.
Hot take.
Folks, get a new or pre-owned vehicle that fits you at Key Auto Group. They will treat you right every time, and it's all just a click away at keyautogroup.ca. We're halfway through the Quick Six show topics. This is the warm-up, and Tim Hunter's coming up. After starting the Major League Baseball season with 10 games on the road, the Toronto Blue Jays are ready for tonight's home opener. The Detroit Tigers are in Toronto for a 3-game series that starts tonight against the 6-4 Blue Jays at the redesigned Rogers Center. Jays righty Alek Manoah will be looking for his second win of the season as he starts on the mound. The Tigers counter with righty Matt Manning. We don't need to be Johnny baseball experts here other than to say we've watched the games. You saw them live in L.A. on the weekend. And what do we think of the Jays through 10 games so far this season? They've been unbelievably exciting. The season opening cliffhanger in St. Louis, which they held on to win, or in L.A. on Sunday, or Anaheim, when they jumped out to the 6-0 lead, then what it was 10-10, and they're winning these games. So when you have excitement, entertainment, and wins, I'm sorry, I don't know what else you could ask for. I'm all in on the Blue Jays right now. You?
Me too. Me too. And you nailed it. It's an exciting team with loads of firepower. They're in every game. I know pitching has been a concern, and they're losing some games when they're scoring runs. But this team is always in it. They're going to be a lot of fun, and that place is going to be packed, and it's going to be rocking tonight.
Well, which reminds me, have you ever in your life seen people go more bonkers than Jays fans are for the redesigned Rogers Center? It's in the freaking news story right here.
I know.
When they had the news conference announcing the renos. Tim McAuliffe, I thought he was going to have to be tranquilized on Tim and Sid. He was so excited for them redesigning.
Oh, no.
Chill. It's just renos. It's not a new facility. What?
I know.
What?
I got the visual of somebody coming in because he's getting too hyper and hitting him with a tranq dart to the neck. And
right. Thump.
We're taking a break. We'll be right back.
Right. You're crazy. We'll be right back. What's up, Carter? We'll be right back. We're live from Grey Eagle Resort and Casino on the Game Plus Television Network, YouTube, and WQEE, the Fringe Radio Network.
Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now. You gotta subscribe. Click the subscribe button for all the content you may have missed.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Grey Eagle Resort and Casino. Grey Eagle Resort and Casino. Casino fancy.
Easy snacking all around. Something everyone can love.
Lot of sun, smoky in the air, that's a lot of fun. Big time, big time, big time. Big time. Big time. Big time.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. BDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
The RP Show continues live from Grey Eagle Resort and Casino. We're having a great day. I don't know about you. Although, bad beats is for people that aren't having a great day, whether it be on the weekend or maybe Monday's bets. Darren Moose DuPont is here. Again, it's what beat your ticket? What busted your bracket in the sports world and the betting world on the weekend? Moose, what do you... Actually, I got one, but I'll wait. What do you got?
Maybe you got the same one. It is going to be Calgary Flames fans that punched the ticket. And what they did, you know, when you went back at the beginning of the year, you can do things like bet on the Stanley Cup. You can bet on things. And what a number of people did is they bet on the Flames to win the Cup. Sure, a bit of a long shot. But the easy money was betting on the Flames to make the playoffs. That's the easy money. The low odds, very easy money. And on the 81st game of the regular season, the Flames lose in a shootout to Nashville, and their season ends. That's a bad beat, especially in a shootout when you put Richie in to shoot and leave Tyler Toffoli on the bench. That's what's got Flames fans the most upset when the Flames don't make the playoffs. So that's a real tough beat when you have a team that's so good on paper trying to compete for a cup, and they miss the playoffs.
I got a better one. One. Golf analyst Kevin Smith showing up here last week from Alberta Golf, formerly of Global Television. He's hosted many CP Canadian Open events, covered the Masters 12 times. He picked Rory McIlroy to win the Masters. Didn't make the cut.
Oh, no.
How's that for a bad beat? Sorry to throw you under the bus, Kevin, but there you go. That's our bad beat for Bet Regal. And by the way, I looked it up. With these two NBA play-in games tonight, which I'm going to get to here shortly, the odds at Bet Regal, Atlanta at Miami. Here come the Hawks. Heat are favored by 5. What are you thinking down there, Ryan O'Radio and our Atlanta listeners? I'm going to take the Hawks to bust that one. And Minnesota at the LA Lakers tonight. One game play-in. Lakers favored by 8.5. And there is breaking news today from Atlanta. The NFL's Falcons have acquired cornerback Jeff Okudah from the Detroit Lions, according to the NFL Network's Tom Pelissero. And in the deal includes a 2023 fifth-round pick. So movement in Atlanta today in the National Football League. From our viewers, Landry's watching in Billings, Montana, where I've never actually been, but I've heard great things, and it's one of my brother's favorite places in the world. Landry says, one might say the Flames burned out. From Kevin the Medium says, my bad beat is I bet the Flames would make the playoffs, and now I owe my son a new jersey of his choice. Oh, what a bet that is. I'm not sure I would ever bet that with anybody. From Craig Smith, our director of scouting, he says, I picked McElroy too. Boy, was I wrong. And from Jeff the Stamps fan, I'm going to say I hope you don't speak for all of Calgary. Jeff the Stamps fan, he says, the Oilers have about 2 weeks left. Don't be that guy. Don't be the monkey in the zoo throwing your own. Just take it. Don't be looking up the road, throwing it at Edmonton, man. They did it. You didn't. You got to sit with it. Okay? 902-518-3033, the number to text us right here. Hey, Leonard Strandberg. He's watching in sunny Arizona. How about that, man? We're very big in Arizona, Moose. You remember Leonard? You met him at the Centennial Cup last year. What a great guy.
Absolutely.
He says, I'm looking forward to the playoffs. NHL, WHL, SJHL, Raptors in the start of the Blue Jays season. Nice to get to watch the show again. Nice to have you watching, Leonard. Appreciate that. I don't understand. I'm sorry. Wilfin Steinbeck says, Rod, the Stars took a leave on. What does that mean? I don't know what he means by that. And I'm going to move on. Point 4. There are 2 play-in games scheduled for tonight in the NBA. As the NBA postseason officially tips off with these play-in games, I mentioned the Hawks at the Heat, the Lakers home to the T-Wolves. On Wednesday, the Chicago Bulls play the Raptors in Toronto. The Oklahoma City Thunder visit the New Orleans Pelicans. What's your interest level? Scale of 1 to 10 for the NBA playoffs, Raptors or otherwise. What is it?
About a 5. Enough that I'm going to look it up, enough that I'm going to follow it, not enough that I'm watching, and not enough that I'm going to be disappointed if the Raptors lose. As it goes on, I'm sure that'll climb, but right now it's a 5. You?
A 7. But as you know, I'm largely into everything. But on the weekends, it was great to have a 3-day Easter weekend I had to unplug from everything. I mean, I'm sorry, man, but people in my world were all fired up about the world men's curling. I'm like, stop. I had a friend write me from Orlando, Canadian, down at Disney World. He goes, Rod, where can I get the feed of the Canadian men's curling or the World Men's Curling Championship? I said, don't. Go outside. Get a life. He's like, well, our friend is a third on Team Gushu, and it's raining here. I'm not TV guide. From Ryan O Radio, he says, go Hawks, right? Win and you're in. That's the exciting thing. And also Ryan O Radio says the Dirty Birds are looking good for 2023. Hashtag rise up. I've been getting a lot of mail from viewers in Atlanta, listeners in Atlanta on WQEE, and it's awesome. I like it. We got to get down there soon. You're over on the west side of the state. That's the problem, Ryan. When I drove through Georgia, it was down the east central side of the state at the holidays, but we'll get there. You can put that on your bucket list. Now, a lot of topics on the table today. We are the Golden Corral of Sports Talk. Little something for everybody. Buffet last night. Carter. Spaghetti carbonara. Lasagna. Garlic focaccia bread. And all kinds of horrible carbs. They had to bring in a dolly for me and roll me out of the buffet last night. I shouldn't have done it, Moose, but I figured, what the hey, I had some time to kill before the Flames game. And Monday's a very good night to hit up the buffet at the Grey Eagle Buffet.
Italian
night. You, this is Tuesday, so it's Italian night. They didn't even market it as such. So imagine my excitement when I was drooling over the buffet. There was
the
great.
Best.
Point 5, there are 10 games in the NHL tonight, including 2 with playoff ramifications. The Pittsburgh Penguins looking to grab a wild card berth in the East, host the Chicago Blackhawks, while the Winnipeg Jets play the Wild in Minnesota. A win for the Jets, and they're in. Elsewhere, the Tampa Bay Lightning host the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Edmonton Oilers visit the Colorado Avalanche, and the Vancouver Canucks play the Ducks in Anaheim. Lightning Leafs. Will this be an indicator or a barometer in your mind of how the round 1 will go?
No, I don't think at all. I'd be surprised if they play their horses a lot. Either side. You know, it's a tune-up game. You don't need to get anybody hurt in a game like this. You don't need to get anybody do anything that's going to create, not that bulletin board materials really needs to be a thing, but no, I think this is going to be more like an exhibition game. I think it's about getting through unscathed. I don't think there's a need to send a message.
I'm going through messages here. People are sending me messages, Moose. They're not listening to that. Listen, here in Calgary today, somebody wrote in, John in Edmonton says, how's the mood in Calgary today? I'm like, what do you think it is? What do you think it is? And the thing is, why this show is becoming so popular is we're not going to be the dogs chasing our tails 24/7 all summer about who's going to be fired, who's going to be. We're just not. We're going to talk about other things. There are other shows that will do that. Come here, and it's a little bit more refreshing because that talk, it annoys me. I understand that they can't get enough of it here, but I can. But to the poll again for Key Auto Group today, the poll question, what should the Calgary Flames do now? And I'm interested to hear what Tim Hunter has to say. I don't know what he will say. Your options are fire the coach, fire the GM, fire both, or do nothing. There's a real split here, Moose. 36% are saying fire both. 29% say fire the head coach, Darryl Sutter. 23% do nothing at all. And 12% say fire the general manager. That is trailing. The least amount of people want to see Brad Treliving go. And this is the point. I was talking with a hockey person here. Calgary, Edmonton, when it comes to the NHL, you can't snow the fans. You can't snow them because they know. It's like Rider fans, you can't snow them. They know. Dolphin fans, you know what I'm saying? The Panthers can snow the fans in Florida. We're going to be great next year. Trust us. Get your tickets. And they're like, okay. In Florida with the NHL team because they don't know any better. Here they do. So isn't that an interesting result there?
Yeah. Yeah, very interesting. You're right. You can't pull one over on the fans. They need to see results. So show me something. You didn't show me anything this year. And you want to charge the same amount for a ticket probably, right? My season ticket prices isn't getting any cheaper. So what are you doing to show me that you're going to put a winning team on the ice? And then I'll buy the ticket. That's where Flames fans
Having said that, leading the way is the result of fire both, the coach and the general manager. There are those that, they want to see Craig Conroy be the next general manager. He's in the front office right now, and see Mitch Love be the next head coach. He's got the Wranglers. I think somebody said the number 1 team in the West Conference of the American Hockey League are the Calgary Wranglers. And it's in my commentary today where I wrote the good, the great, and the ugly at rodpedersen.com. I said the American Hockey League for these Calgary hockey fans, Darren, like non-alcoholic beer. Good, not great, and not really getting the job done. You know what I mean? So if you want to go watch pro hockey in the spring, you can go watch your Calgary Wranglers. And believe me, there's ads everywhere. And they got a lot of great talent on the team. But it ain't the Flames, and you're not fooling anybody. Nice try. With these games the rest of the way, I was looking at the playoff races, and I think we all are. Our score app's getting a real workout right now. Colorado, Minnesota, Dallas, all battling for the Central Division lead. There's a battle for the Pacific Division lead. So there's battles at the top. There's battles, the Jets looking to win tonight to clinch. There's no reason to believe, Darren, is my point, that teams in the West, at least, are going to rest anybody right up until the end of the regular season.
It's tight. It's really tight, and they're going to continue to battle. That makes it really interesting, what you decide to do, right? Let the chips fall, and we're going to make sure we're healthy and ready to go, or are we going to fight and try and make sure we, secure a home ice advantage, move up in the standings, especially in the Pacific. Like, it becomes tough and right down to the wire. So, it's still very, very entertaining, no matter what position you're in.
Yeah, well, I think it's tough for the bettors, right?
Yeah.
Because you'd like to, who's starting in goal? Who are you sitting tonight? What rookies, is it Knees with the Leafs that made his debut the other night? The Leafs are tinkering with their lineup, but they're still winning, which tells me they're a pretty darn good team going into the Stanley Cup playoffs. So, Moose, I think that's the end of our time today. You go enjoy yourself down there in Southern California.
Thank you. Have a great rest of the show.
Thank you. A sports update here before we run and bring in Tim Hunter. Aaliyah Boston is the #1 pick in the WNBA draft, going to the Indiana Fever. It's the first time that the Fever have had the top choice in the draft, and they chose the South Carolina forward. The preliminary round at the Women's World Hockey Championship in Brampton, Ontario wraps up today with a trio of games. Hungary plays Germany in the early game. Sweden faces France in the afternoon. Czechia and Switzerland meet in the evening contest. Canada, of course, secured first in their pool. This sports update is for Landmark Cinemas. Sign up for Landmark Extras and see what's playing at landmarkcinemas.com, like the Super Mario Brothers movie in theaters now. While working underground to fix a water main, Brooklyn plumbers Mario and his brother Luigi are transported down a mysterious pipe and wander into a magical new world. In theaters now, the Super Mario Brothers movie. Tim Hunter joins us next live on the Stage Bar at Grey Eagle Resort and Casino when we return after this brief pause. It is the RP Show, Atlanta's NHL show too, by the way, on the Game Plus television network and WQEE, the Fringe Radio Network.
Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now. You gotta subscribe. Click the subscribe button for all the content you may have missed.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match. But for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. BDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
All right, back live look in Grey Eagle Resort and Casino, Calgary's entertainment destination. We are live on the stage bar, and the hockey chat continues as we welcome our good friend Tim Hunter joining us here in front of a live studio audience. And I always have to bring up the hockey DB. I can't imagine anybody wouldn't know it by heart, but Tim Hunter, 815 NHL games, 138 points, 3,146 penalty minutes with the Flames, Nordiques, Canucks, and Sharks. And welcome home, Tim. How are you?
I'm great. Good to be back in Calgary. The snow is melting and spring is in the air.
You didn't see much snow this winter, though? If I'm right?
We saw it on the mountains in Superstition Mountains just east of us in Mesa, but and they got quite a bit of snow in the mountains, you know, up in Flagstaffs. But it was a cooler winter than normal down there, and a lot of the local Arizonians were complaining it's the coldest winter they've seen in a long time.
Well, that's not too good, but you didn't miss much up here, I'll tell you that, although as a guy that spent most of the winter in Florida, I'm not complaining either. But you met our guy, Jim, here in the live studio audience. It didn't take you long to get into Calgary. All of a sudden, people want to know your take on the Flames.
Yeah, no question. I was just telling Jim, in Delisle, Saskatchewan, it's a famous little hamlet in Saskatchewan. Some great hockey players came from there. You know, at the end of the day, I don't think they're really good enough to make the playoffs. Just missing something, and mostly that was scoring. They didn't have enough scoring all year. They couldn't quite get that extra goal. Lots of scoring opportunities, but no finish. And, you know, when you lose to a lot of non-playoff teams, that makes you a non-playoff team. And so, but I think on the other side of things, I don't think Calgary's harmony was good all year. And that being everything has to go right for a team to make the playoffs. And I don't think everything went right for Calgary this year. It had a lot of things that didn't seem to be going well. The Markstrom had a so-so start and then great finish. So-so start. Kadri, Huberdeau didn't quite get to where they wanted to be. And there's a lot of factors play into this. You know, what a lot of people don't see is the off-ice things. Players going through being in the Canadian market for the first time, being the go-to guy in a Canadian market for the first time, having, you know, becoming husbands, becoming fathers. All these things take into effect of the overall harmony on a team. Every day when you're a coach or a manager, you're looking at your team and going, is everyone happy? Who's not happy and why? And those are the things the fans don't see. You know, a player going through different things off the ice that, you know, affect his on-ice play. And there's probably lots of things that you'll never know. But I think that played in a big factor in the way Calgary played this year. They just weren't right all year, one way or the other. And it starts with your best players. And I don't think they were the best players every night. And that's your goalie on out.
Sure, what the fans don't see or know about that, but as you also know, they don't care. So, because they're looking at this going, somebody's going to have to pay. Something's not right.
Yeah, and that's true, and that's the shameful thing about it. And, you know, that's the modern thing, you know, you have to blame somebody. And I look at, a lot of people that right away they talk the manager, didn't get the scoring, the coach, players didn't play well on him. But there was lots of players that did play well under the coach. Toffoli, Backlund. Why'd those guys have good years? They're married, they're professionals, they come to the rink every day to play hard and compete, and they know what's on the line. The guys that didn't compete and didn't play hard every year, what was wrong with them? Well, that's down the line on all these different scenarios that players go through in their life and their career. So the coach doesn't have a lot of effect on that. It's what's in front of them on the bench that night. What are they giving me tonight? And some nights it's not 100%, and you have to kind of play the cards that are dealt to you.
I don't mind throwing in the viewer and audience questions because they always have the good questions. But as promised, we're not just going to talk about the Flames with Tim. We have a Leafs Lightning game tonight that's a playoff preview, and you coached a long time in Toronto. So I'll get your take on the other teams. But Craig Smith, our director of scouting in football, he's watching right now, and he says Tim Hunter wouldn't back down from anybody. Who's the toughest he faced? An amazing career. I'm sure you get it all the time. What do you answer?
That's one of the number one questions. Everyone was tough. If you give a guy any sort of edge, you're in trouble. And that's why I trained so hard and I was so fit, because I had to be prepared to fight anybody, anytime. And I was never afraid of anyone. There was the real tough guys, Dave Semenko, Bob Probert, guys like that. But Nick Fattia was by far the hardest and toughest guy to fight. He was so powerful, such a heavy punch. You did not want to get hit with that punch. He hit me on top of the helmet and blew my helmet off in New York the first time in there, and I was so thankful he didn't hit me in the face, because I saw that years later when I played for the Canucks, when we were playing the Canucks and Nick was playing for the Flames. He fought Craig Cox, who wanted to fight me, but Nick stepped in and took him on, and he broke Coxey's orbital bone, and it was nasty. And I just looked back to the time when he hit me on the top of the head, helmet, and I thought if that was my cheek, my chin, it would have been me.
You've never been the same.
I know, and I know Stu Grimson broke his orbital bone fighting Dave Brown, and it's nasty when that happens. And I'm very fortunate. I never had a concussion. I was never knocked out. All the fights I was in, so I'm pretty fortunate.
I got so many things to get to with you, and a lot of it is fun stories. Kevin the Medium's watching. He's a Canucks fan living in Airdrie. He works with us. He says, I remember the 94 playoffs in Vancouver. What are your thoughts on that run? We'll get to that, okay? But I just want to say something about Stu Grimson. Tim, you and I got to get on the Sports Banquet tour, because you know how much fun it is.
Oh, yeah.
I did one with Grimmer, well, several. But he said the doctor did a remarkable job of his face, reconstructing it. He said, and Reed Simpson goes, yeah, and they pulled the bolts out, too, because we always... Yeah, you get it. But he loved it. He loved it.
That's funny.
It is hilarious. That's what's great about those banquets. Anyways, we're going to take an early timeout. So to our operators in Toronto at Game Plus Television and in Atlanta on WQEE, we're going to take an early break and be back with Tim Hunter. He'll be with us in hour 2, and then Dave Naylor as well in hour 2, the TSN CFL Insider. We're live from the Grey Eagle Resort and Casino, Calgary's entertainment destination, on the Game Plus TV network and the Fringe Radio Network.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Grey Eagle Resort and Casino. Grey Eagle Resort and Casino.
Easy snacking all around. Something everyone can love.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
I gotta hit the beat. I gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
beat. I gotta hit the beat. Lot of sun, smoky in the air. That's a lot of pine. Big time, big time, big time, big time.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
And we are live at Grey Eagle Resort and Casino. Get your questions in 902-518-3033. Stanley Cup champ Tim Hunter's been good enough to join us down here and answer your questions. You got your Stanley Cup ring on today, I see.
Yeah.
Any special occasion for that? You don't wear it that often that I've seen.
Well, I was at the Flames game last night and was in the owner's suite, and lots of corporate people, and they always ask
like
if
to
you
see
have
it.
your ring on, and it's fun to show it. And it's a nice ring. It's wearable. You know, some of the big rings. I was in Vancouver and met a guy he was a Detroit scout, and he had 2 Red Wing rings on, and he was a smaller guy, small hands, and the rings just overcame his hand. I went to shake his hand. It was all ring. I'm like, it's so big. They're
It's
like
not right.
trophies, and
Yeah.
these are so nice to wear. You can wear it every day, and you know, I don't wear it on my right hand because when you wear it on your right hand, you're shaking hands. You lose the skin on the side of your fingers by the end of the night.
Well, those gold ones are beautiful. And listen, one more on the Flames, and then the rest of the time we'll spend on the Canucks on the other teams. The Leafs Lightning tonight. If you were with the owners, what do you think they're going to do here? I'm glad I don't have to make the decision on what the Flames are going to do moving forward.
Yeah, well, you know, they're not going to, it's not a knee-jerk reaction. You know, I think they're intelligent people, and they've seen this from the start. They probably knew last year when they were losing Gaudreau and Tkachuk that it was going to be a long recovery from that loss, and it still is. I think Brad did a terrific job getting what he got to replace them. And like I mentioned earlier, is that the harmony of getting these guys in and assimilated into Calgary, the Canadian market, being the big stars on the team, getting used to new coaches, new coaching staff, the whole thing is not going to happen overnight. So I think they have a long-term picture. I don't think the Flames ownership is going to go, well, we didn't make the playoffs, let's fire everybody or let's fire anybody. You know, when Darryl came in the first time, it took a while to get his group Goudreau, Kachuk, everyone on the same page, how we want to play, what successful hockey is, how you win in the NHL. And now he has to start over again with another group. Lots of new players in the lineup, young guys moving into the lineup, transitioning into the lineup. So I think a big picture thing, I think Calgary will be much better next year with the same group. You probably have Pelche more in the lineup, Coronado in the lineup every night.
There's some great guys coming.
Yeah, and at some point Connor Zari's going to be in the lineup, and I don't know about Wolf, the young goalie. So they have a great prospect pool, and things are going to look better next year. And like I mentioned earlier, everything has to go right just to get in the playoffs. Once you get in the playoffs, everything has to go right again to win. So, it's not an easy thing, and it's a tough pill to swallow. I know the fans and everyone's upset, and they want heads to roll, but, I think patience and letting this team build and develop is probably the right thing to do.
Everybody, just hold your horses. We'll get into a lot of this next hour. Kevin was nice enough. He's been patiently waiting for your thoughts on the 94 playoffs. We've got about 3 minutes on that. The Canucks going to Game 7 against the Rangers. You're on that team.
Well, it was a team that everything went right. We had great harmony. Everyone played for each other. Everyone was healthy. Dana Mersey got hurt. Brian Glynn stepped in and played great. Kirk McLean played fantastic. Our best players, Courtnall, Linden, Ronning, they all played really well. Our D was fantastic with Lume and Babich. These guys led the way. Brett Hedican. Everything went right. Pat put the team together. We didn't have a great regular season, but we got better and better. Made some additions at the trade deadline. Brian Glynn and Marty Jelena came in, and they fit in really well. And it was a team that just came together, and everything went right. And we ran into a pretty good team in New York. They were 6 former Oilers on the team. The little Canadian team in Vancouver against the big giant New York media monster. And, we were up, it was an uphill battle all the way. And we took them to Game 7. It was fun. And I was in Vancouver on Saturday night at the game. Saw Kirk McLean, Dave Babich. You keep in touch with those guys. You go to battle for 2 months, the Stanley Cup final with a group of guys, and that friendship lasts forever.
Yeah. In a minute, can you answer this? Jeff, the Stampeders fan, says, so you lose Game 7 in Manhattan. What did you do that night?
We actually flew back to Vancouver. We got on the plane, and we had a charter. We flew right back. Tough. You get into Vancouver early morning, and I know the fans had done all kinds of crazy things. For me, our families were there. I had my dad there. It was his 70th birthday, Game 7. He had come through New York to Alberta from England, and he saw a Ranger game in the early 50s, and he said, if I ever have boys, I want them to play that game. I want them to play hockey. So there he was back in MSG on his 70th birthday to watch his son play in Game 7 in the Stanley Cup Final. We lost, and he came down to the dressing room. He said, I'm not disappointed. They're a good team, but I was so happy to be able to live my dream, to have my son play in the NHL and play in a Stanley Cup Final here in New York.
Wow, what a story. We have connection with you guys, do we not?
Yeah, here we go. Sorry about that. We had a little bit of a blunder with Game Plus.
So we'll be back for hour 2 right after this brief pause on Game Plus and WQEE.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Grey Eagle Resort and Casino.
snacking all around. Something everyone can love.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
I gotta hit the beat. I gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
beat. I gotta hit the beat. Lot of sun, smoky in the air. That's a lot of fun. Big time, big time, big time, big time.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Now,
Here's a little secret with what I do at the Rod Pedersen Show, and I've made a career of it. I don't care whether you like me or you don't like me, but when you watch my show, I just want you to feel something.
How about that?
Whether you're happy or you're sad or you're angry or you're proud, I just want you to feel something. Because a lot of times you'll read a column or watch a show and it's, meh. That's never been the hallmark of what I do. I want to make you think, I want to make you feel something, and it's worked. And if you don't agree with me, I'll be fine.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
And we're off into hour 2 of the RP Show, everybody. Business is picking up here at the Stage Bar. Live studio audience at the Grey Eagle, Calgary's entertainment destination. We're live on Game Plus Television and WQEE Radio. A lot of questions coming in for our next guest. Well, he's been with us for the end of hour 1. He'll be with us for a while in hour 2. Tim Hunter is with us, Stanley Cup champion. 800-plus games in the National Hockey League. We're taking your questions. He's answering mine as well. And coming up a little later on, TSN's CFL Insider Dave Naylor. And Tim, to open this up, before we look at tonight's games in the NHL, which there are 3, 6, 9, 10, 2 with playoff ramifications, you had a great story here of a fan down in the Seattle area where you played junior. Would you mind recounting that? I love these stories.
Yeah, you know, when you're on social media, it gives access to people to, you know, contact you. And this fellow a few years ago contacted me, and we just, you know, chatted about hockey. And I didn't realize at the time it was a guy that, when I was in Kent playing the Seattle Thunderbirds with the Moose Jaw Warriors, he came down and I autographed a jersey. It was a Breaker jersey. It was number 3, and he said it was mine. I said, well, cool that you have it, and more than happy to autograph the jersey for you. And he said later on, after he walked up in the concourse, somebody offered him $800 for that jersey. And he said, no, this is not for sale. I'm a big hockey fan. This is a one-of-a-kind piece of history. You know, Tim Hunter played for the Breakers, played in the NHL, blah, blah. So just a little while ago during the winter, he contacted me. He said, hey, Tim, that jersey that I have of yours, I'd like to give it back to you. I think you should have it, and I'd like to give it to you. And I'm like, oh, okay. Wow, that's crazy. That's very kind. I said, what do you want for it? He said, I don't want anything. He said, I just want you to have it. So I I said, okay, I'm going to be driving through Seattle early April on my way back to Canada from being in Mesa all winter, and I'll contact you. So we hooked up in Burien, little town just south of Seattle by the airport, and we met, had coffee, and he gifted me the jersey. I gave him 2 or 3 8x10 signed pictures, and we had a great visit, and just a wonderful guy that was a big hockey fan. He was a goalie, and just still a big fan. He just wanted to have a meet with me and give me the jersey. So I have a number of jerseys from when I played, World Junior jerseys and all this, and now I can add it to my collection.
That's pretty awesome, though.
Wall of shame. It's very cool. You know, it was a big time in my career. 2 years in Seattle. Was drafted as underage to the Atlanta Flames, and I had, and I really enjoyed my junior career in the CHL. I had 2 straight years of 300 penalty minutes. I had 67 points my last year junior as a defenseman, and it was just a wonderful career and a great place to play. And
well, I'll tell you, these shows when Tim shows up are always the easiest shows, but also the funnest shows. I mean, we could do an 8-hour show, probably. Like Seattle, nobody ever talks about the Kraken. Even, Jordan Eberle's a good friend of mine. He says they don't get a ton of media down there, right, with the Seahawks and everything else. How about them? They set a record for the most points differential from year 1 to year 2 in NHL history.
Well, they didn't have the advantage of bullying other NHL teams during their expansion draft the way Vegas did. So I think Ron Francis did a tremendous job. Draft and develop your own players. They've picked a few guys here and there with some trades and what have you. They've done a great job, and they don't have any big stars yet. They have a lot of good players, and I look back at the term that Doug Armstrong used when St. Louis won the Stanley Cup. He said, we don't have a lot of wealthy players. We have a bunch of rich players. And that meaning you don't have these high-end guys that cover all your salary cap. You have a lot of guys that make good money, and they all contribute. And that's what Seattle has done. They've got 4 good lines, 6 good defensemen, a couple good goalies, and lots of a diverse team. You never know which is your first line because they can all score.
What's funny is I've now been in Calgary, as you know, for over a year. And what I've heard a lot lately when I saw the Flames were going into the tank, people are like, we don't have any game breakers. We don't have a McDavid. We don't have a McGinnon. I'm like, boo-hoo. Most don't. Find a way.
Yeah, and that, I mentioned that earlier with Calgary, and the reason why they're not going to make the playoffs is they just didn't have enough scoring. And all they needed was another guy that could score 25 goals or 30 goals somewhere in the mix in their top 9, and that wasn't there. Toffoli lead the scorer just over 30 goals. You need more 20 to 30 goal scorers if you're going to win by committee, and Calgary didn't have that.
The other thing, and listen, we're done talking about the Flames. We've talked about them enough. But fans have said, can we be really good or really bad so we could be in contention for an overall pick? Right? They hate this mediocrity, and they see Bedard now, and I want to talk about him. He's going home for a rest. I talked to a family source today. He's done. He's worn out. Can you blame him?
Well, it's been quite a ride, and a lot of responsibility on a young player to carry a team like that. And all the media around and the sellout crowds everywhere where he went. It was a real win-win for him and for the Western Hockey League. It's been great. The fan base everywhere, filling those rinks where he's playing. That's wonderful. And these players. So he's going to have to go to the combines and do all these interviews and do all the interviews with all the NHL teams before the draft. It's a real drain on these kids. World Junior summer camps coming up, all these different things they have to go through, and yet still maintain a schedule where they train to get better for the following season. And rest is what he needs. But the old saying, the best way to get in shape is to stay in shape. So
don't rest too long.
Don't rest too long, son.
Where do you think, because Tim has just got back into town this week from being stateside, I'm asking everybody that's come through who they think would be the best fit for him at #1 overall. I'll just tell you, Button said Columbus. because immediately he drops in between line A and Goudreau, and away they go. I don't agree, but
yeah, that's a good question. Any team that gets him is going to be it's going to be a good fit for him because he's going to be such a good player. It's going to take him a while to get his legs under him and become a star in the league, but he will be a star in the league. He has all the acumen to be a star. He sees the ice well. He makes plays. He goes where the puck's going, not where the puck's at. And that's Jim down here from Delisle. He had that comment about watching Bedard play in Regina. So, and it's true. Good players, they seem to know where the puck's going to be, and they're there. And he's got to lay a shot. And it's only going to get better as he gets
Can you imagine
stronger
it getting better? Wow.
You know, so all the tools, and it's going to be interesting. You know, if a team like Vancouver ever got him, you know, they've retooled on the fly here. They've got some good young players, Pedersen, Kuzmenko, Hughes. They got the making of a good team as time goes by. You never know.
Max Bentley, Delisle.
Bentley brothers.
Bentley brother, Max and Doug, yeah. Got you. I was thinking about it since you mentioned it an hour ago. And Barry Thompson. Jack Norris. Wow, how about that?
Yeah.
John Ohm, he's watching in Winnipeg. He says, I'm hoping Montreal or Vancouver gets Connor Bedard in the draft. Jennifer at the Four Seasons Sports Palace says, I'm still hoping for the 0.00001% chance he comes and plays for the Pats next year. Button said that'll happen if the NHL doesn't play. That's the only way.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that he's going back to junior. But do you think you played in Vancouver? He's from Vancouver. Do you think that would be good for him?
Oh, of course.
Yeah?
Hey, I'm from Calgary. I played in Calgary for 11 years.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
You know, Mike Vernon's from Calgary. He played here. Dana Merzen's from Calgary. He played here. You know, I don't think it's a bad thing at all. I think it's a real good thing. You have lots of support. You're familiar with the city. You're familiar with the media. It's just a natural fit. And what a great thing for a player to play in his hometown. I sure loved it being here. And, you know, I went away and coached and played after I'd finished playing here in '91. And I'm back after 30 years not living here. And it's like it was just yesterday. All my friends and hockey connections and the community endeavors. So it's a natural if he was to go to Vancouver and play there.
But you're not necessarily saying that's the best fit.
Well, that's like, who's able to say what the best fit for him would be? You know, the best fit is where he's going to flourish as a player, and that can be anywhere. It can be anywhere. Montreal, Columbus, Vancouver,
Chicago, San Jose.
Yeah, San Jose, San Jose. You know, they're all those teams that are in that lottery, so-called. And they're all retooling. Chicago, Montreal, Vancouver, San Jose. They've all made moves to change their look moving forward, and they're bottom dwellers.
For our Eastern viewers, of which we have many on Game Plus television, Eastern Canada and the Maritimes, and of course throughout the United States. Leafs Lightning tonight. How should we look at this, knowing that they will line up in round one? We know that.
Yeah, those are tough games, you know, when you're battling a team that you're going to play in the playoffs. And so, you know, you send messages, you don't show them anything new, go along status quo because you're going to have some new wrinkles when you play them in the playoffs. But you still got to start that kind of rivalry war thing early because it's you know, it's sending messages. And I'm not talking about, you know, being
cheap shot.
Yeah. Excuse me, cheap shots, but just playing hard and making their best players hard to play against, and you know, making them accountable and not making life easy for them.
What's your thought on how that series will go down?
Well, Tampa seems to be not quite the team they were. So they have their work cut out for them. But they have the makings, and they've been there. They know what it's like to win. They have the horses to do it. It's a matter of everything going and coming together at the right time, and that seems to be when they play their best, is in the playoffs. And Toronto's never done it. They've never been there and been in that situation. The pressure keeps mounting on that team to win a playoff round. They haven't done it in, 15, 17 years or whatever it's been. So the pressure from the media is immeasurable there, and it's going to be hard, and it's going to be tough on those players.
I can't
imagine. They got to
imagine.
answer those questions every day, times 30, the cameras and the mics in front of them, and it's just, it's
I'll tell you something.
Unbearable.
It's an actual thing, obviously. I've never lived in Toronto. I'm not interested in living in Toronto. I'm a Western guy. I would think it's almost unbearable here, from what I've seen. And they say Toronto's exponentially worse. And the interesting thing, and we got to go to a commercial here, but look at Matthew Tkachuk. Don't tell me Daryl Sutter doesn't have to answer some questions about Tkachuk going down to Florida and carrying a team like he has and being the MVP of All-Star Week. But here, he wasn't happy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's I don't think, I look at Matthew Tkachuk as a guy that wants to be an icon and not a teammate. That's my personal opinion. He didn't really want to be a teammate here. He wanted to be the go-to guy. He wanted to be the guy that got all the accolades and not just be a good teammate. And that's why he's in Florida, because that's where he really wanted to go. Somewhere where he could go. He's an American, wanted to get an American city, and he didn't like being in Calgary. And Gaudreau is the same. In the end, yeah, he could have stayed and that, but he wanted to be somewhere else. Gaudreau is not a guy that loved the limelight and really didn't really want to be the go-to guy here. He's happy in Columbus. He would have been happy somewhere else where he wasn't the go-to guy. He learned to be here, but it was unbearable for him.
I get it. But hey, I'm glad you'd like to see things work out. You're a good guy, right? So you get that. You want the best for people. And it's working out for Matthew, right?
It sure is. It sure is. And he's got another 100-point season. And Calgary sure could have used a 100-point guy or another 2 40-goal scorers.
Isn't that right?
That's why they're not in the playoffs. They don't have enough scoring, and they could have used those guys. But, the salary cap era and players having the right to choose where they want to play, that's the nature of the beast. And those things are, they're out of a manager's and an owner's hands at the end of the day, unless you're the guy recruiting a guy that is coming to your team, like Florida or like Columbus for Gaudreau. So Calgary was fortunate to make some good deals to get some players to come here, and those players will fit in eventually. It's just they had a struggle fitting in this year.
We'll take a break and get to more of your questions. There's some coaching questions here that I certainly can't answer, so we'll throw them at you when we come back. Stanley Cup champion Tim Hunter with us live at Grey Eagle Resort and Casino before a live studio audience on the Game Plus Television Network and WQEE, the Fringe Radio Network.
Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now. You gotta subscribe. Click the subscribe button for all the content you may have missed.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Is it time to take your event online? Bring it to IKS Live. We've got a fully customized virtual event platform with remote guest support for your next fundraiser, talk show, conference, performance, and more. IKS Live offers live streaming to Facebook Live and YouTube and pre-recorded capabilities, both in our studio with green screen available and on location with pre-production and post-production services. Visit us at ikslive.ca.
Did you know that you can help save life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients.
yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Easy snacking all around. Something everyone can love.
I'm Bridget Lequette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
All right, we are back live at Grey Eagle Resort and Casino. And we love it. Our good friend Tim Hunter joining us down here. Dave Naylor coming up next segment, CFL on TSN Insider. So get your CFL questions ready. But there are a ton for Tim Hunter here, and it's been fun. Hey, this has been a fun session here.
Yeah.
Coach.
Always fun talking hockey.
Yeah. Nothing, no end of things to talk about.
Yeah, it's definitely, and the game's ever changing, so it's fun.
Okay. Oh, there's so many here. Don't let me forget about the Hockey Club podcast they're watching in Tallahassee, Florida. They got a special question for you, but just in chronological order here, where did the gentleman go? He wanted to know your thoughts on coaching a #1 overall pick. Here it is. Tom says, good morning, Tim. How critical is coaching to nurturing a first overall NHL pick?
That's a great question.
Isn't it?
Yeah, and it's the evolution of today's society has changed a lot of that too. You know, and you look at, trying to shelter a player from a lot of scrutiny and a lot of pressure is hard to do, and it's hard to convey that to the player that that's what you're doing. Because everyone wants to see that player play his first game and his family there and show the family in the crowd and all that, because that's what society wants. They want that feel-good story. Yet on the flip side, you're trying to shelter a player, not much pressure on him, because pressure is the #1 thing that all athletes have a hard time harnessing and controlling and being able to function under that pressure, right from golfers to NHL players. Lots of skill, lots of talent, lots of hard work, but the pressure seems to be insurmountable at times, and guys can't function with it. And that leads to lots of different issues, right? Mental health issues and all kinds of different things with athletes. So you have to be real cognizant of what these players are going through and shelter them from it. And the best thing an NHL team or a professional team can do is surround a first-round pick with lots of good character people to help him grow, guys that are willing to mentor him and share things with him to help him grow as a player. And that's the way a player is going to flourish and function in a as normal atmosphere as possible, but by having good people around him.
Yeah, it was, like you say, a very good question. And as I got from a source in the Bedard camp today, he's going home to North Van. He's been going hard since last summer's World Junior Camp. He hasn't had to stop since July. That can't be good. So Corey in Tallahassee, Corey Pedersen says, please ask Tim about his time in Birmingham. What's that about?
Well, that was my first year pro. I played in Birmingham, and I have more stories from my first year pro than I do the next 16 or 17.
Why?
Well, it's your first year pro, and you're playing for one of the iconic nut bar coach guys you've ever seen, in John Brophy. And he was this guy. So I had two friends, Jay Soloway and Ralph Andreessen. They played in the Western Hockey League as I did, and they couldn't function under John Brophy. He just was so hard on players, they couldn't function. And I called my dad, and my dad would say, how things going? I'd tell him a few stories, and I'd say, this guy's really off the wall. I've never seen anything. And my dad said to me, he said, listen, you're not going to play for this guy forever. There's a message in what he's trying to tell you. Seek out that message, find what that message is, and apply it. He doesn't know any better. It's his way of motivating. It's Neanderthal thinking. Find the message and just function. You're not going to play for him forever. So I tell this to my two buddies, and they couldn't get over that. They couldn't see past and couldn't get the message. And I got it. He would come down and rant and rave, and he would say things like, Hunter, you gutless puke, when are you going to do stuff for us or anything for us? And I just beat up Jimmy Mann and fought Rick Bonus, and we're losing 4-2. Brophy would leave the room, and all the veteran guys would go, Tim, that's not meant for you. That's meant for us. Because he's going, why does a 19-year-old first-year pro have to go out and do all the heavy work and show that he cares? Where are the rest of you guys? That's his message. So I had help from veteran guys. Gord Wapple, who played in Regina.
Wapple Construction.
Yeah, Wapple Construction.
Yes.
Gord was my pal, and Gord helped me. I'm on the bench. I turn the puck over. Brophy comes down, screaming and yelling at me, Hunter, you're no effing Mona Lisa. And I'm like, so Brophy goes, I go, hey, Gord, what's with the Mona Lisa? He goes, Tim, it's a masterpiece. It's a piece of artwork. He means don't try to turn chicken shit into chicken salad. Make the first early pass. The first pass you see, make it. That's his point. Okay, so years later, I was at the Louvre, and I saw the Mona Lisa. I took a picture. I sent it to Gord. I said, Gord, I finally found the Mona Lisa. So we had a good laugh over that. But this was my coach. So as the year goes along, team's folding. We're not making any money. So the team's going to fold. So Gord and I are in the minor league dispersal draft. I go number 1. Gord goes number 2. We go to Montreal. Here's Montreal Canadiens getting the first 2 picks in this minor league dispersal draft. We go to Halifax. John Brophy, to the media, says, 3 months ago, there wasn't a team in pro hockey wanted Timmy Hunter. Now the number 1 franchise in all pro hockey wants Tim Hunter. They picked him first to go to Halifax to play for their minor league team. That's a tribute to Tim Hunter's hard work, determination, and dedication, and listening to his coach become a better player. And it was true. I just buckled down. I worked hard, nose to the grindstone. Not hard for me because my nose is big. And
that's what happened.
That's what happened. And dug in and got the message.
Thanks a lot to your dad.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
And John Brophy said to me, he said, listen, Tim, for you to play in the NHL, you can do it 2 ways. You can either be the meanest mother effer down here or the best defenseman down here. And I think number 1's your way. I said, John, how about me doing both? He goes, well, that's possible, but I don't know if you can do it. So I took that and went, challenge. because I was a defenseman. I was drafted as a defense and played defense in junior, and then eventually I played forward in the NHL. But I thought, okay, I'm going to be the meanest, you know what, and try to be the best defenseman. And by the end of the year, I had improved. I played well and played a couple games in the NHL as a defenseman, but I guess my calling was to play right wing.
Yeah, that worked out.
Yes.
From the viewers, and I'll try to get to as many of your comments as I can. We don't have a lot of time. We're running out here. Arlen Bruce III, two-time Grey Cup champion. AB, he's watching in Vancouver. We do have a football segment next segment, but this is where sports, people don't understand. The concepts are the same. Doesn't matter if you're on the grass, on the ice. You know, it's all the same. And Arlen says definitely some pros and cons playing professional sports in your hometown. I would definitely recommend it if it's possible for a young athlete. He played for the Kansas City Chiefs, and he's from Kansas City. So yeah, there's good in everything. You just have to look for it. From Craig, our director of scouting, he says, great guest, Tim Hunter, unbelievable insight and stories. Randy from Winnipeg says, I love when the ex-NHLers are on with stories. That's what I'm getting more and more of, Tim, here is we've had Ron Duguay, Bernie Nichols, Colin Pedersen, yourself. It's so great. I don't know why more networks don't do it, so we'll do it all.
Yeah,
it's fun, right?
You bet. It's a good conversation and great questions. You know, I think that's a terrific question about how do you treat a #1 pick and playing in your hometown. You know, the easiest thing to do is talk about something you're familiar with. So wouldn't it be the best place to play is to play somewhere you're familiar
more comfortable
with?
Yeah,
your family, your friends, you grew up with. You know, I had all my childhood friends here, and you know, you only had so many tickets to pass around. But you know, Tom McPhee used to say, if your friends and family won't pay to watch you, who will? Right? So I had, you know, every game during the anthem, I would look around the Saddle Dome. I had about 10 stops to all my friends that were at the game. I knew where their seats were, and I'd just look up. They knew I was looking at them. Give them a little, I didn't wave, I just a little nod to all my friends. It kind of made me feel comfortable and knew that I had support in the building. They were there to watch me play.
Swerve in Calgary says, I remember Basil McRae went after Brophy in mini one game. That's going back a ways. Do you remember that? Was that the highlights?
John would have been coaching Toronto then.
Right.
So yeah, well, Brof was a real character, like, you know, this slapshot character. You know, I played in the Central Hockey League. We had Frank Seldom Beaten, Dave Killer Hansen. These guys, they were minor league tough guys, and they were like, yeah, they were legit. Like Frank Beaton played with me in Birmingham, and some guy wanted to fight me. He goes, Tim, I'll show you how to do this. And he would grab the guy and just tune him up. And I'd be like, oh my God, that guy just beat the crap. And he taught me how to hit the speed bag, skip, and do all these things to improve my hand-eye coordination and boxing and all this. He was great, but these guys they're slapshot characters.
Allie's watching in Texarkana. She says, wait, Rick Bowness actually fought? Wow. She says Bone. Was he tough?
He was very tough. He played in Tulsa and fought him in Tulsa, and that's where Jim Mann was. That was Winnipeg's farm team. And then later on, when Rick Bowness was assistant coach in Winnipeg, we had a brawl. Rick Hayward started. He stuck me and cut my lip. So we had a bench-clearing brawl, and I beat up a couple guys and got loose, and the Swede Knox was escorting me off the ice, and Bowness came down to the corner of the bench, opened the gate, and was calling me on. So I'm water skiing. Swede Knox is water skiing behind me on my way to the box to grab Bowness. I never got there, but there's a famous photo a Calgary Herald photographer took, and I'm coming at Bowness. I have no shirt on, my face is all blood, and Bowness is there, and we're gonna come together, but we don't quite. And it's just like, the look of Tim Hunter is like, I'm going to kill Rick Bowness. That's the look of my face. It's an amazing photo. And I know Bones, and I always tease him about it. He goes, yeah, Tim, he says, I send Swede Knox a Christmas card every year for saving my life. Because if you ever got me that day, I knew you were going to kill me, because the look in your face was like, oh, wow. So fun stuff, but Rick was very tough guy.
Can you answer this quickly? It's from Cy. He says, should the NHL be drafting 18-year-old players, or should they be waiting for the players to graduate out of junior?
That's a great question. So I was drafted in the first underage draft in 1979. And in reality, I was drafted in the 3rd round, 54th overall. That was 21 teams. If I was drafted the next year, I would have been a first-round pick. It would have been a different animal, monetarily, the whole bit. I don't regret any of it going on, but yeah, the NHL, got a lot of free agents, and I think they dropped down the scale of what our remuneration as a draft pick was, because they went to the 18-year-old draft. I think players are much more mature now than they were in those days, so I think it's fine. They draft 18-year-olds.
I think it's fine, too. Yeah. Believe it or not, folks, we are out of time. Tim, don't be a stranger. Looking forward to bumping into you this spring and summer around here.
My pleasure.
Cody Snyder's Bull Busting.
That's right. What a great event.
Isn't that
I'm
great?
looking forward to that again this year. It's going to be a lot of fun. He does so much in the community, and it's a great event. So you get a chance, you go to it.
Yeah, right here at Grey Eagle.
Those bull riders are the toughest athletes on this earth. They are so tough, those guys. Man.
No doubt. All right, Tim. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, Tim Hunter, Stanley Cup champion. When we come back, TSN's Dave Naylor will join us live. We are from the Grey Eagle Resort and Casino in Calgary on the Game Plus television network, available across all 10 Canadian provinces and 31 states, and on the radio, WQEE and the Fringe Radio Network.
Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now. You gotta subscribe. Click the subscribe button for all the content you may have missed.
Hey Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersenshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpetersenshop.com.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult, because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Grey Eagle Resort and Casino.
your dark horse bets today.
I gotta hit the beat.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
It is Calgary's entertainment destination. There's a look at it. Grey Eagle Resort and Casino. That's where we're broadcasting live from. It's been a fantastic day going back and forth between our favorite topics, football, hockey, football. But don't forget the Toronto Blue Jays kick off their home schedule tonight with the Detroit Tigers there. We're going to football now. Dave Naylor joins us from TSN, the CFL Insider. And what, David, I'm sure, by the way, thanks for coming on. It's been too long, Dave. It is pleasure. The doldrums. If I'm not mistaken, I think you'd agree, the doldrums of the CFL calendar. What's keeping you busy 3 down-wise right now?
Not a heck of a lot when it comes to the CFL. I mean, you're right. It is kind of that way. I mean, we're looking forward to the draft, of course, coming up in less than a month's time. And obviously before that, you have the NFL draft, and you're looking at, Canadians that are going to go through that draft. I think this could be the greatest single year, not just of Canadians drafted in the National Football League, but when you add in players that are likely to be priority free agents, throw in Nathan Rourke going from the BC Lions to the Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, I think we could have 9, 10 new Canadians added to the National Football League in 1 year. 1 year. There's never been 5 drafted. I think there'll be 5 drafted this year. There's never been 12 drafted over a 3-year period. If there are 5 drafted this year, we're going to get 12 over a 3-year period. So, my primary focus right now, and has been over the last couple of weeks, has been I've been shooting a lot of features in the off season, or like we do in the year, and we've got to spend a lot of time with Chase and Sydney Brown, the twins out of the University of Illinois. From London, Ontario. Shot some stuff with them in London, shot some stuff with them in Florida. We'll be running that the week of the NFL draft. So back to your 3-down question. I mean, it's been a relatively quiet offseason since the end of free agency. And, we didn't have a lot of, kind of rule changes or other administrative stuff. We went through all that last year. I guess.
We lost Nails. I was just enjoying listening to Dave Naylor. He's a professional. I know that he will log in shortly, and we'll finish that chat up with him. We do have some questions. I don't know if Nails can answer this. Jeff, the Stamps fan, wants to know who the Calgary Stampeders are taking with the number 1 overall pick. Oh, if he nails that one, man, he's Kreskin. Nelson Hackowicz says, is there any intel about this pending U.S. TV deal Randy keeps talking about? So those CFL fans just continue to sort of lurk in the weeds and wait to get their questions asked. Clark is pushing something in my ear, so we are close. What? Now, lost you? We're having an interesting technical day here today. I can't hear you. I can't hear anybody. We got him. Okay, David, listen, just to jump right into it, I should have asked you what you're up to.
Computer just melted
with those
down there,
features.
guys. Got the phone working now. Sorry.
Oh, that's what it was. Well, what a time for that to happen. Oh, my gosh. Of course they want to talk about, these are CFL fans, they want to talk about expansion to Halifax.
Sure. Yeah,
I'm on record as being, well, I'm over it, unless you have something new today.
Well, I mean, I wrote on this about a month ago, and back to your original question, I've been spending time on the Halifax issue. Obviously, we're very curious about what's going to happen in Montreal, waiting for the U.S. TV deal, looking at, what players are, how the XFL and the USFL are going to affect the CFL player pool, short-term and long-term. Those are really the kind of things I've been working on 3 down wise. So I can answer questions on any of those. But back to Halifax. Look, I think what the league is trying to do here makes some sense, which is basically saying we've tried to go through this road, the traditional road of getting a stadium built as the lead into a team in Atlantic Canada. We don't think that's ever going to happen. So we're going to try to identify an owner, come up with a cheaper way to build a temporary stadium and enter the market that way. And I think there's two things that are really significant here that kind of come out of this. One, they have to find somebody locally. This can't be outsiders trying to do this in Atlantic Canada. And that's the piece that's always been missing. I'm curious whether they have somebody, whether they turn somebody up in the process of looking for Montreal. With the excitement that the commissioner is showing about this, obviously those are confidential matters, but you have to have a guy or a woman or a group of people who are going to write the check here. That's one. And two is, if this doesn't happen over the next 6 months or gain traction in the next 6 months, everybody who's sick of hearing about this is going to get their wish. Because I think the league knows that there's a bit of a credibility issue about continuing to talk about Atlantic Canada and never actually, getting things going. So they're going to take a run at it this spring and summer. And if they don't go anywhere, I think you'll see them move on.
Thank you for that. You had, going into the Combine, you had an article about the name, image, likeness deals in college sports and how it's affected the CFL. And frankly, I was fascinated by it, David, because I spent close to 6 months in Florida. I was through the high school scene. I was speaking to teams. I was in their locker rooms. Dude, the money being thrown around and offered. Listen, it's quiet. We're not allowed to talk about it. It happens. How has this affected the CFL? And if people don't understand what we're talking about, you're not going to understand. So let's just talk at the level of what we know, Dave. Okay. How is that affecting the Canadian Football League?
Yeah, and this honestly came out of a comment that Chris Jones made to me, during the Combine week. And Chris had talked about how he was changing the way he scouts for the CFL because of the presence of the XFL and the USFL. I talked about him about this in January, about how instead of, going after the guy who played at Ohio State, he's going looking for the Division II freak, right? He's looking for the guy who was a conference all-star, in FBS somewhere, that kind of stuff, rather than Power 5 schools, those traditional sort of sources of players. And he mentioned that one of the other things that had made it really difficult to recruit at that level is NIL deal. And I had to think about, well, why would that be? And I think there's two things. There's a practical element and there's a perception element. I think the practical element is one of the things that brings players to the Canadian Football League sometimes is, these guys have been focused on football and education to varying degrees. You get out of school, you don't have an opportunity in the NFL, you got to make some money, come to Canada. If you've been making, $150,000 a year US playing college football, when you get done school, you're not as desperate to need income as one thing. You're just not as hungry economically. Guys will have options when they graduate from school with money in the bank that they don't have when they graduate from school poor. That's one. The other is, I just think, a perception issue that, the CFL already has a perception issue in that basically its entry-level salary for American players is $75,000 Canadian. You can pay more, but most Americans coming through the door don't get a lot more than that. So what's the pitch when you're going after a guy who's been making twice that in college football and you're giving him an opportunity to the pros and you're going to pay him less than he was making as a college player? So that, there's a perception issue there for the league as well. And what Chris was saying is those two things, those factors around NIL are making it that much harder to recruit players out of that level. So you've got, here's what you've had happen in the last 10 years. The NFL basically doubling the size of its practice roster, okay? And also making room for veteran players. It's no longer just guys in the first 3 years of the league. You can have a veteran on your NFL practice roster. So you've doubled the size of practice rosters. You've added the XFL. You've added the USFL. And you've added NIL deals to college players that puts them in a position where they may not be, as quick or anxious to play in the Canadian Football League. All of those things combined have drastically changed the recruiting process. And I think have changed, is changing, and will continue to change the sort of demographics of American players in the Canadian Football League.
That was the sense I was getting from your article on that, your column. And the thing is, I'm cruising through these locker rooms, Plantation, Florida, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. The players are talking about, yeah, there's a guy at UM making $400,000 a year with a basketball team. And they're like, yeah, but that's nothing. There's a guy agreed to Florida for $13 million over the course. But I'll say this, Dave, and we got to run. I didn't get into broadcasting to get rich. I got into broadcasting to get into broadcasting. I would hope these guys play football because they want to play football. But we have about 30 seconds. We want to wrap that up.
Yeah, here's what I think. If these two other leagues continue to exist, here's where I think the CFL player pool is going. I think you're going to see fewer of those 23, 24, 25-year-olds that were on the bubble, got cut in the NFL last summer, or were stars in college and still believe they're NFL players. Those guys are going to the USFL and the XFL. We might now get them at 26, 27, 28, because those leagues are all about landing guys into the National Football League. That's what they want on their calling card. We put this many guys into the NFL. And particularly when you're talking about defensive players, once you get into their late 20s or even 30, guys are not going to the National Football League at that age at those positions. And so those leagues are going to be less hungry. So we may get a more mature player here, from those backgrounds. But yeah, ultimately, the two types of players are going to come here, guys that A, just want to play the game, and B, guys who are playing the sort of long game, understand that this is not a league that you necessarily try to get in and out of to the National Football League as quickly as possible. That's the USFL and the XFL. This is more a career league, and you got to put some time into it if you want to make some money. That's, I think, where we're going.
Awesome chat, Nails. Good to see you, man. Keep it up. We'll be chatting with you down the road here.
Thanks, Rod. Enjoy the drafts upcoming.
Thank you, man. CFL Insider of TSN Dave Naylor. We'll be back with Overtime right after this, live from Grey Eagle Resort and Casino on the Game Plus TV network and WQEE, the Fringe Radio Network.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
beat. I gotta hit the beat. Lot of sun, smoky in the air, that's a lot of pine. Big time, big time, big time, big time.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
You got something to say? You want to add to the show? What are you waiting for? Don't just sit there. Say something. Now, back to the studio with Rod.
The studio, as always, is the stage bar here at the Grey Eagle Resort and Casino, Calgary's entertainment destination. And it's only taken, well, this is our 977th show. How many here at Grey Eagle? I was actually adding it up. This is our 25th week, 5 shows per week. I'm no mathematician. It's about 125 shows from here, and it's taken that long to get to where we wanted, and that is all these folks showing up. If I had a live camera, I would show you. We had guys that come down here for coffee every morning to watch the show. We had people from Sask who were in Calgary for a couple of days, thought we'd come by the Grey Eagle and check the show out. And all of a sudden they end up in the show taking photos with Tim Hunter and me up on the stage. This is what we wanted. So it makes me very happy. And these things don't happen overnight. Life lesson, if anybody's listening.
How about that?
Sports update. Yeah, buddy. Overtime, did I mention, is brought to you by the Four Seasons Sports Palace, your home for the UFC and the National Hockey League. And as of last night, no longer the Western Hockey League playoffs. But I don't want to talk about it. The Toronto Blue Jays play the Detroit Tigers in their home opener at Rogers Center today. Tonight, the 6-4 Jays started the Major League Baseball season on a 10-game road trip due to Renos to Rogers Center. Former Jay and 2023 Baseball Hall of Famer Fred McGriff will throw out the ceremonial first pitch. The crime dog. Is it politically correct to say that? There are 10 games in the National Hockey League tonight, including a playoff preview, as the Toronto Maple Leafs visit the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Leafs will finish second in the Atlantic and will open the postseason at home against these third-place Lightning. Playoff preview tonight at Scotiabank Arena. Elsewhere tonight, the Edmonton Oilers visit Colorado. The Winnipeg Jets are in Minnesota. A win clinches a playoff berth for Winnipeg. And the Vancouver Canucks travel to Anaheim. This sports update is brought to you by Landmark Cinemas. Enter to win a movie night out at Landmark Cinemas for movie lovers only. All you have to do is text Movie Eve to 902-518-3033 to be entered. Winners are picked every Friday to enjoy a movie night out this weekend. And they've sold me on this one. They've sold me. In theaters beginning Friday, Renfield. And I've seen the promos and posters for this. In this modern monster tale of Dracula's loyal servant, Nicholas Hoult stars as Renfield, the tortured aide to history's most narcissistic boss, Count Dracula, played by Nicolas Cage. Renfield is forced to procure his master's prey and do his every bidding, no matter how debased. But now, after centuries of servitude, Renfield is ready to see if there's a life outside the shadow of the Prince of Darkness. If only he can figure out how to end his codependency. Dun, dun, dun. Renfield at Landmark Cinemas beginning April 14th, which is this Friday. And by the way, sign up for Landmark Extras. Free refills on pop, large pop, and large popcorn. Thank me later. What do we got? 902-518-3033. People just kind of sitting back and enjoying the show here today. Ron in Calgary writes in and says, "Loved the interview with Tim Hunter. Great show." Thank you, Ron. We aim to please here on the RP show, and said it a lot of times. There aren't a lot of shows. I think we all know that. There's not a lot of shows like this one anywhere. Streaming, television, or live like we have here. And I just kind of knew there would be a place for sports greats of the past to come in and talk sports. Go figure, huh? And talk about being in Calgary over a year. People are recognizing me now on the street going, "Rod, love your show, love your show." Bernie Nichols, Tim Hunter, Ron Duguay, Colin Patterson, Jamie McCown. Mike Vernon is turning into being our white whale, Clark. He's our white whale. He's the one guy you want. Hot damn. Last minute of play. And the thing is, I don't want to be that guy. I would fall over myself and be the fanboy when Mike Vernon walked in here. And I feel like he senses that. You know? Brian in Beausejour, Manitoba watching says, will Nathan Rourke return to the CFL if he ends up holding a clipboard and getting no reps? Is that a rhetorical question? You'd have to ask Nathan Rourke that. Who knows? There actually is no answer to that right now. Crew, we have entries coming in on the text line, by the way, if you can answer them for the landmark contest. He's not thinking about that. That much I know. I don't know Nathan Rourke other than interviewing him a few times, but he's not going to Jacksonville going, what if I fail? Because you know who does that? Failures. We'll see you tomorrow, noon Eastern, right here at the Grey Eagle on Game Plus and the Key.
Who has more fun than us?